Hello students and welcome to the lecture. So students, as we know that we are covering the voting behavior, okay? That is the topic on which we have been discussing so far, all right? And if we talk about the topics that we have scheduled under this particular series, so the topic names are like the history of democracy and voting, like the importance of voting, like the historic vote, like the legal framework, like the election machinery, like the political landscape and the party participation, like the election outcome, like the voting and approach, like the explanation part, like the meaning of voting behavior, like the significance of voting behavior, like the determinants of voting behavior, like the role of media in elections and the voting behavior. All right. So this is the picture that we were required to cover it up. If we talk about the topics that we have covered so far, so basically we have done with the history of democracy and voting, importance of voting, historic vote, legal framework, election machinery, political landscape and the party participation, election outcome, voting and approach, explanation, meaning of voting behavior. Okay. So total 10 topics we have covered out of 13, and the topics that we are left with are the significance of voting behavior, determinants of voting behavior, role of media in elections and the voting behavior. All right. So this is the picture that we have created so far altogether. So basically in this lecture, we will continue from where we had left in the previous lecture. All right. So basically in this lecture, we are going to start with the significance of voting behavior. That is the topic on which we have going to start the lecture. All right. So basically, if we look at here, then we will find the first word that we can see here is the pathology, right? So what do we mean by the pathology is the first thing that we are required to understand here right now. So pathology is a branch of political science, okay? Is a branch of political science that deals with the scientific study of voting behavior. Okay. So here are certain things that you are required to keep in your mind. The first thing is this, the word like this, pathology and all. Okay. So here, basically logy is the study and paspo is the another word. What is the meaning of this? We will see in a little bit. But before this, remember, the words like this often come in the examination. And generally, the questions formed of various types, like the question may be asked to you, pathology is the study of field under which the correct answer is voting behavior. All right. Second question is maybe the pathology word is given and they are asking you like what is the meaning of pathology. So the meaning of pathology is a branch of political science that deals with the scientific study of the voting behavior. All right. And maybe the question could be asked you like political science, and you can say what is the following word that is connected with the political science from the given blocks, like pathology, urology, okay, geology and all. So the correct answer is pathology. All right. So remember, the words like this are very, very important from the examination point of view. Why? Because the questions are generally asked from here. All right. Second, the meaning. So basically, if we talk about the pathology, so we have covered that this is the branch of the political science that deals with the scientific study of the voting behavior, the topic on which we have been discussing. After this, we will see that this is the new term popularized by the American political scientist and political sociologist. Okay. So basically, we can say that America is the originator of the word pathology, or you can say the branch of pathology. Why? Because it was popularized by the American political scientist and the political sociologist. But remember, it was not the original origin place. Okay, remember this. What I'm saying, just listen carefully. Pathology is the branch of political science, deals with the scientific study of voting behavior that has been popularized by the American political scientists and the political sociologists, but America is not the originated place, okay, of the passapology. Now you will ask, if America was not the original place, then why we talk about it? And if America is not the place, then what is the original place? All right. So there are certain questions, like we can say, basically we have to go back to the history to find out the basic origin. So the recorded history of voting goes back at least to the Greek polis. Okay. And this is what we know already. Like when we started this discussion basically, or you can say when we started the discussion over the voting behavior basically. So the term voting behavior and Greek polis having a great relationship. How? Because voting behavior is the study of the people, like how they vote, why they not vote. Okay. And basically Greek polis is the place where we have the first recorded history of voting. All right. Even when we were talking about the history and background of the voting behavior, so we had discussed that that was the year of 508 BC. All right. When the Greek policies were exercising the practice of voting. Okay. Now it is a question to you. Now you are required to tell me that which type of voting they were practicing. I had told you. Okay. So now you are required to give me the answer of this question, and for answering you have 30 seconds. Time starts now. Just think about it. 10 seconds have been passed off. Last 20 are remaining. Last 10 seconds are remaining. The time's up. So basically they were practicing the negative. Okay. I had explained you about the negative voting and the positive voting. Like positive voting is a practice in which the voters gives their vote to elect a candidate to form a particular organization or to be a part of particular organization. All right. Or to run a country for a definite period of time. Okay. And the negative voting is the reverse practice of it. Like the voters generally give their vote, but not to select, but to eliminate the person from the organization or from the government. Okay. Like the Greek polis had the system, they generally pooled their vote, okay, to the candidates whom they do not find fit to be the government. Okay. And you can say who in the opinion of the general people was not suitable to run a country for a definite period of time. Okay. And they had the system like every candidate is to require to get 6,000 votes. All right. And when the 6,000 votes will pool to each candidate, the voting will start it, and the one who received the highest number of votes, that would be eliminated. Okay. But if no candidate receives 6,000 votes, then no elimination would be made and every candidate would remain as it is. That is what we have covered, right? So remember this thing. After this, the another thing that we had discussed is the approval voting. So now you are required to tell me that what is the difference between the general voting and the approval voting. And for this, again, I will give you 30 seconds to answer and your time will start now. 10 seconds have been passed off. Last 20 are remaining. All right, the time's up. So basically, they were practicing the approval voting in the medieval Venice. And what is the difference between the general voting and the approval voting? So basically, in the general voting, suppose if we take the example of your class, all right, like in your class, there are 5 candidates standing in front of you, all right, and they were conquesting to get elected as a class monitor or the class coordinator, whatever you want to say. All right, you are the voter. There are total 40 students in the class. Each student could vote only one candidate. All right, that is called the general voting. And the one who will receive the highest number of votes, that will be elected as the monitor of the class. Okay, as the majority wins. Second is the approval voting. Approval voting is slightly different from the general voting. Why? Because in the approval voting, the voter is not entitled to put only one vote, or you can say to cast only one vote. Okay. Instead of giving your vote to only one candidate, you can give your vote to all the 5 candidates. But as per your preference. Okay. Suppose there were A, B, C, D, E. How many candidates? 5 candidates were electing the elections. Alright. Now you are required to elect one of them. Okay. But you are not entitled, and you can say you are not forced to put your vote to only one candidate. Okay. You could arrange them in reference. Suppose there are A, B, C, D, E. Okay. So you find that E is the most suitable candidate, then D, then C, then B, and then A. Then you can do like you will perform a approval voting. How? You will put E on the top, D on second, C on third, B on fourth, and A on fifth. Similarly, other voters will do. Okay. So here you have casted your vote for all the 5 candidates instead of casted your vote only for one candidate. Then voting, or you can say vote counting, would start it, and the candidate who will receive most of the approval, that will be elected as a class monitor. Okay. So this is the difference between the general voting and the approval voting. Got it? The modern world for the study of voting behavior. Okay. Passapology derives from the classical Greek word paspos. Okay. The piece of poetry on which certain words, mainly about the banishment of those seen as dangerous to the state, were inscribed. Like we know, in the ancient Greek, in the 508 BC, they did not have the systems like we have today, like EVM machine, BPAT and all. Okay. They were basically used a piece of poetry on which they usually cast their vote and submit it to the respective elected authority. Alright. So paspos basically denotes this piece of poetry, and because the first instance of voting recorded in the Greek polis, that's why the study of the voting and the voting behavior named after passapology. Got it? And we know that basically these were the negative voting. So basically they pulled their vote mainly about the banishment of those that seen as dangerous to the state, like the ones which the general people found out not suitable to holding the office in the government. They usually give their vote to them, and if the candidate received the most of the negative votes, that will be eliminated. Got it? So remember these things, they are important from the examination point of view. After this, the study of voting behavior is significant for the following reasons. Now, we have been discussing about the voting behavior, and voting behavior, okay, for a long time. Now, if we talk about the significance, like what is the significance of voting behavior, why we are here to study about the voting behavior, or you can say why should we study about the voting behavior, what is the significance of this, what is the importance of this, why we are doing this. So basically there are some following reasons so that we could justify our efforts that we are making to study the voting behavior. First is, it helps in comprehending the process of political socialization. Political socialization. Now, what is the meaning of political socialization? What is the meaning of it? So basically, if we talk about the political socialization, so basically political socialization is the branch of the political science in which we study like how does the people get affected due to the socialization of politics. Typical, right? In the simple words, we can say, like if we talk about the neighbors, and if we talk about our surroundings, suppose you have 3 friends, okay, including you. So you all are 3 friends. One is supporting the BJP, one is supporting the Congress, and one is supporting the Aam Aadmi Party. All right. So basically, if someone is supporting some particular party, like you and your friends, all right, so they are behind some causes. Okay, might be you respect the values associated with the party, might be you get attracted to the manifesto, might be you having some respect to the political leader that belong to some political party. All right, might be your society and your locality get affected because of some political party and the causes. So there are so many reasons why you are going for some particular political party. Okay, And the grouping of these all reasons is known as the political socialization. Like in our society, why some people are inclined towards some particular political party and why not others. Okay, so basically to understand the reason, we require to understand the voting behavior. So we can say it helps in comprehending the process of political socialization. Okay, like how does our society get affected because of political scenarios? Okay, how does the people form their opinions regarding some particular political parties and all? Okay, thereafter it helps in examining the internalization of democracy as the value amongst the elite as well as masses. All right, elite means the rich class, the masses means the general people. It emphasizes the real impact of revolutionary ballot box. Now you will ask, revolutionary ballot box, like what kind of revolution they brought? Why we are saying this revolutionary ballot box? Okay, so basically if we talk about the democracy, okay, in the democracy it is you can say very much important that there must be two things in the democracy, then only the democracy could be sustained. These are the two most basic things. Even you can say they are the most primary things. Other things are basically secondary to it. Okay, so now you will ask, like, what are these primary things? So first is the restrictions on the arbitrary powers of the state. Okay, the government should have the limited powers, then only the government should be responsible to the general people. Okay, if the government will have the unlimited powers, they will have the arbitrary powers, the government will not so much responsible to the crowd or to the general people. The first thing is that. Second is the privacy of the voting person. Okay, like if we talk about the voting process, like you and me, whenever we go for the vote, what is advisable to us? Like, never tell anyone to whom you have voted. Okay, before the voting, after the voting. All right, generally we also do the same thing. However, we speak out that yes, I have pulled the vote for the BJP, for the Congress, for DMK in South, all right, and any other national, state or regional party. All right, but usually what is advisable to us, do not tell it to the people when you are going for the vote. Even if we talk about the polling booth, the booth in which you are polling the vote, have you ever seen that the person who is casting his vote, he's shouting with inside the polling booth that yes, I will give my vote to the BJP, I'm giving my vote to the Congress and all? And have you ever seen the someone that he's saying that I have given the vote for the BJP? Did you check it whether he had given the vote to the BJP or not? Never, right? Why? Because of the ballot box. The ballot box is the things that maintains the second thing, that is the privacy of the voting person. Okay, like generally whenever we go for the voting, we usually cast our vote and submit it to the box without showing it to anyone. Even the polling booth officers are not aware about that whom you have casted your vote. All right, so it ensures that the voting process should not be influenced by any of the factor, and the voting person should not be put under any kind of unnecessary circumstances because of the casting of vote he had did. All right, so these two things are to be maintained in the democracy if the democracy is to be survived. The first is restrictions on the arbitrary nature of the state, and second is maintaining the privacy of the voting person. Okay, so the ballot box basically does this work, so that's why they are termed as the revolutionary ballot box, because they hides that whom the voter has given the vote. All right, after this, it enables to throw light as to how far the electoral politics continue or break with the past. Now, what is the electoral politics? So basically, electoral politics is the process through which the general people could elect the candidates to the government for the definite period of time and could change them after the regular interval. Like if we talk about India, Okay. So whenever we go for the general election, we elect the candidate for the definite period of time. That is the 5 years, right? For 5 years, we elect them, and we usually change them on the regular intervals. Like every after 5 years, we generally organize the general elections again, right? So basically, how does the electoral politics could continue or could be break with the past? That could be understandable by the study of voting behavior. Helps to measure whether it is modern or primordial in the context of the political development. Modern means in the modern society. Primordial means like from the ancient, then medieval, then in the modern. Okay. So these are some of the following reasons why we should study the voting behavior. Why is the study of voting behavior is significant? The first, like we have discussed, basically the political socialization could be understand why the particular segment of the society is inclined towards one political party, why the other is inclined towards another political party. It helps us examine the internalization of the democracy in the value of elites as well as the masses, the general people. It basically emphasizes the understanding of real impact of the revolutionary ballot box. Like when we started protecting the privacy of the voting person, did it really made some change in the society or not? Okay. Helps us to throw the light as to far the electoral politics could continue or break with the past, and basically help us to measure whether it is the modern or the primordial approach in the context of the political democracy. Right, now let's move forward. After this, if we talk about NGS Kinney, okay, voting behavior can be regarded as, remember he is the Australian political scientist, okay, a mode of legitimizing democratic rule. A mode of legitimizing democratic rule. Now, what is the meaning of legitimizing democratic rule? What is the meaning of it? So, legitimizing means the making the democratic rule lawful. All right. So, all the things could be continued in the lighting of law. Instancing participation in the political process involving integration in the political community. Basically, if we able to understand why does some people vote and why not others, okay, then we could understand the measures through which we could also include the ones who are not doing the voting in the group of the people who are doing the voting. Okay, so that's why they could instancing the participation in the political process and could involve the integration into the political community. Instancing an act of the decision making. Okay, like you can say, suppose if this is you, okay, now we are talking about you. If you are going for the voting, okay, and if you are going to cast your vote, there must be some reason why you are going for it, okay, right? And if you are not going for the voting, if you're not casting the vote, again there must be some reason why you're not going to it. All right, and if somehow we will be able to understand like what are the reasons that motivates you to vote, what are the reasons that basically discourages you to give your vote, then we could, you can say, maintain the measures accordingly, right? So it is the decision making, like which factors influences you to make the decision of abstaining, which factor influences you to make the decision to go for the voting, right? A role action involving definite political orientation embedded in the particular type of political culture. Role action involving definite political orientation embedded in the particular type of political culture, or we can say a direct relation of the individual citizens to the formal government. Okay, Like we can say, suppose if someone is liking the government, it means that the individual citizen is basically having some relation either with the political leaders, either with their policies, either with their you can say manifesto or any other thing. All right. And suppose if we talk about you again. So how many friends were you? Three friends. One of your friends basically going for the Congress. One of you going for the BJP. One of you going for the Aam Aadmi Party. All right. So basically, if you could connect yourself with the central government or the formal government in any way, all right. So basically, you will try to put the political party you giving preference to them to be the part of the government. Okay. And this could be studied under the direct election of the individual citizens to the formal government. Right? That's how this could be done. Okay. So basically, if you are liking the Aam Aadmi Party, and when the Aam Aadmi Party will be in the government, like as you want it, then what will be your beneficial? What you are thinking that how you will be benefited. Similarly, if you liking the BJP, and if the BJP is in the government, what are the factors that making it beneficial for you? And similarly, if you are looking forward for the Congress, and if the Congress is forming the government, like what are the factors beneficial for, right? So there are so many things for them. Okay. So students, basically in this lecture, we have finished it here. In the next lecture, we will continue from here. Till then, just revise the facts and figures that all we have discussed in this lecture and be ready for the another lecture. With this note, let's end this lecture and thank you.